One of my life's obsessions has been to create the perfect fudgy brownie. Hi, I'm Umber. I'm the owner of Mah-Ze-Dahr Bakery in New York City, and we're going to make those perfect brownies today. When I think about a brownie and what makes it so obsession-worthy and something that I'm craving every single day, I try to figure out if it's the sweet, creamy butter, or maybe it's that dark, decadent chocolate. It's actually the Mah-Ze-Dahr. Mah-Ze-Dahr is a word in the Urdu language that we use to describe the magic or the essence that makes something special. It's the thing you attach to. It's that unknown quality that you want to come back for again and again. And it's definitely what's in these brownies. After you preheat your oven to 350 or 325 if you have a convection oven, prepare your pan. Take a 9-inch pan, put some cooking spray inside, and then put parchment paper in both directions. Doing that actually helps you get the brownies out faster, out of the pan, and into your mouth. Preparing the batter happens in 3 different steps. The difference between great pastry and good pastry is a little bit of patience and a couple of techniques. And those are the techniques that we're going to talk about today that are going to make your brownies insanely great. The first thing is to take your sugar and your eggs. The sugar comes in a packet in your kit, and you'll add to that 3 eggs. Whip those 2 things together for about 5 minutes. It seems like a really long time, but what you're aiming for is this kind of ribbony texture. And the reason you want that is you want a lot of air in the mixture. Air is what gives you lightness and is what makes it not so heavy that it feels like a brick of obligation, and a little bit more sort of like a light celebration of brownie. Once you have that whipped, put it aside, and then prepare the other 2 components. The second component is the dry ingredients. And the dry ingredients come in the pack. It includes Valrhona cocoa, all-purpose flour, and kosher salt. Once you have it in a bowl, just go ahead and mix it up with a whisk, just a little bit. You want to incorporate all the ingredients together and make sure you don't have any lumps. Lumps are not something you're interested in having in a brownie. Put that aside and then prepare your butter. This is another one of those from good to great pastry tricks. Having butter that's a very sort of creamy texture allows things to incorporate better. Remember, the more similar things are, the more they're going to kind of meld together and kind of mesh and marry and become this gorgeous, incredible texture. The way to do that is to take 3 sticks of butter. This is not for the faint of heart. Yes, 3 sticks of butter. Take a stick and a half, put it into little cubes, keep it nice and cold, and take the other stick and a half and melt it. Take the melted butter, pour it on top of the cold butter, and then whisk the 2 things together. You're basically aiming for what I like to refer as a mayonnaise texture. Something that's creamy, something that's sort of got a nice sort of feel to it. It's a little bit denser, I would say, than just sort of melted butter. And you also want to leave some of these little chunks. Sorry, did you hear that snort? That's our French Bulldog Toro. She's very disinterested in the process. She really only likes the outcome. And when she smells chocolate, she knows she's getting none of it. So she's extraordinarily bored. You might hear her snoring at some point. So please, no, it's not the video. It's just her. All right, you've got this all sort of mixed together. Again, you can see a beautiful sort of bright lemony color, and again, more like a mayonnaise texture. And now you have all the ingredients that you're just going to put them together. Put your bowl back onto your stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, that's no problem. You can use electric beaters, and if you don't have those, your arm and a whisk work just as well. One of the things I really like about having a beater is you also have the attachment. And the attachment for me does nothing more than leave dough that I can eat later. It's all I can do to stick my finger in this bowl and eat this batter every single minute that I'm making these. Once you have everything set together, you want to start with your dry ingredients and end with your dry ingredients. That's one of the things we try to do in the bakery very often, is when we alternate wet and dry, you start and end with your dries. Go ahead and put a little bit of the dry mixture in, turn the mixer on, and just mix it and incorporate it until it leaves a little bit of sort of light streaks of flour in the dough. And then go and add your butter in, about half of it, and then you're going to do that mixing again. Oh my gosh. Don't you just want to get yourself in that bowl? Oof, I do. Brownies are one of those things that start, I think, for people at a very young age. I remember loving brownies as a child. It was my #1 requested after school snack. It was something that I wish I could have had every single day. In our house, we had very fancy after school snacks, and I know I sound ungrateful when I say that, and I wasn't. We had baklava, we had cookies Saint-Jacques, we had lemon rice. My mother was an amazing cook, and all I ever wanted was a brownie out of a box. So finally, when I started to become a baker, I started to try to think about how to recreate that experience that I remember as a child, but in this really beautiful, sensuous adult form. All right, once we get all of the things into the mixture, what I like to do is to do the final step, which is putting in the chocolate chips, some of my favorite things. I always add a couple extras because I always snack on them. I put them in by hand, and the reason why I do that is once you get all of your flour mixed into anything that you're making, you want to stop agitating the flour. What makes things chewy, like bread, is gluten, and flour has gluten. So the more that you work flour, the more that the gluten comes out. So when you're making a sourdough, you definitely want it to be chewy. When you're making a brownie, you want it to be melted. You don't want to have to fight with your brownie. It shouldn't be an obligation, it should be an enjoyment. So you take the dough, and you've mixed in your chocolate chips. Make sure they get incorporated really well. It's always nice to make every bite somewhat the same. And then you're going to put it in the pan. One of the things that I love about these brownies too is once you sort of get down the different technique of the melting of the butter and sort of the mixing of the things in, it's a very sort of easy, low maintenance pastry. We call it sort of like the casual girl in the bakery. Sometimes you want high maintenance, and sometimes with pastry, you just want it to be easy. Once you have put it in the pan, I like to go ahead and smooth everything out. This is something that I use an incredible amount in the bakery, and it's called an offset. It's basically like a flat sort of knife surface, and it's wonderful because you can do things like I'm doing now, smoothing things out. You can use it to frost cakes. You can use it to sort of get things out of pans. It's really inexpensive, and it's just such a lovely tool. As you continue to bake with me, you're going to hear me talk about this offset a lot. The offset and a scale. That's one of the things that's been very helpful. Going from being a home baker to being a professional baker is being able to measure out our ingredients. So I use a scale in the kitchen every day. In the kitchen, not in the bathroom. I don't have a scale in the bathroom, only in the kitchen. You want it to be helpful, not torture. Once everything has been all smoothed out, go ahead and put it in the oven. You want to put it in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. It really depends on how hot your oven is. About halfway through the baking, rotate the pan. You'll know the brownies are done when you stick a knife or a toothpick or something inside, and it comes out with a couple of little crumbs left. You don't want it to be totally dry, because remember, we're talking about something that's fudgy, snores, and we're also talking about something that doesn't have to get so baked that it becomes hard. Let them sit for about 10 or 15 minutes in the pan once they've come out of the oven. That allows you to have a little bit of a crust on the outside. One of the things we ask people in the bakery when they order a brownie from us is, are you a center person, an edge person, a corner person? And that always gives us an indication of how much crunch and how much soft they're looking for. I myself am an edge person. I love that sort of tension between crunchy and soft. I don't want to have the same experience with every bite. I want everything to be changed up a little bit. So here's the brownie. I've taken an edge, obviously. Gonna go ahead and open it up and have you guys take a look inside. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? It's fudgy, it's airy, it's just got every sort of component that you're hopeful for in a dessert. You can serve them like this. You can put a little powdered sugar on top. You don't need to. They're gorgeous and perfect as they are. I'm gonna take a bite. Oh my God, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. It explodes in your mouth. It's just such a love and such an experience. There's just such, I can't explain it. There's a Mah-Ze-Dahr to these brownies. Thank you for joining me today, and until I see you again next time, I really hope you find your Mah-Ze-Dahr.